1,200 gwei right now? Are you serious? Oh my God, I've never seen gas prices this high in my life. 2,000 gwei? Ethereum, homies. I shouldn't have refreshed. It dropped by half. Darn. That would have been a $500 ERC20 transfer and a $1,500 Uniswap swap. EIP 1559, everybody. Epic. Epic. Wow. Right now, after hitting refresh, which I wish I didn't do, it's $250 to send an ERC20, $750 to do a Uniswap swap. PulseChain.com. Please save us. Please. PulseChain.com. Save us. I want to tweet this so bad. Somebody hit me with like your highest Ethereum gas price. This is insane. PulseChain.com. Come on, baby. Look at this. It's $250 to send an ERC20 right now. And before I refreshed, it was $500. $500 to send an ERC20. $500. Is this okay? This is not okay. It's not okay. PulseChain.com solves this. Oh my Lord. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I don't even know what to say. I've never seen a gas price that high ever in my life. Never. Never. I want to tweet about this so bad. Oh my God. If you don't like paying $1,000 to do a Uniswap swap, you better be supporting PulseChain.com. If you don't like paying $500 to send an ERC20, you better be supporting PulseChain.com. I figured, all right, well, why don't we do a lot of things to save the Ethereum guys, and Hexagons are Ethereum guys because, you know, they paid Ethereum fees. Why don't we make a copy of all the system state, bring over everything that makes Ethereum good, bring over the original Uniswap, bring over the original Hex, bring over everything, increase the throughput by 4x by reducing the block times to 3 seconds from the 13 seconds they already are on Ethereum. And you're going to get basically free transactions. And we know that because other forks that started empty, they have basically free transactions as well. The difference is they didn't bring over state, and it's a really, really big deal. So now if you've got a use case that's priced out on Ethereum where, you know, you can't pay $30 to send a message to your friend, well, that sucks, right? Ethereum used to be free. It used to be free to transact on, basically. You know, you want to start a hex stake, costs a penny. You want to end it, costs a penny. Well, now it's costing $150 to end one, due to some changes Vitalik made personally to the code to triple the cost of loading data from disk, which is kind of an important part of computing. So, you know, I can save all the Ethereum guys. I can increase the value of Ethereum by reducing its load and making it more useful. And I can give all of those use cases that are priced out a new home, and everyone will have a new copy of all their ERC20s, or almost all, right? Like if you're a bad actor, maybe your ERC20 won't make it over. So wouldn't you like a new copy of every ERC20 you've ever liked, like Hex? Or, you know, if you're an Ethereum holder, you're going to get a freemium amount of Pulse, which is the new native token of this chain, to be able to transact freely. And then at the end of 30 days, we're going to pull out and take back all of those freemium Pulse so that there's nobody just dumping on you forever. You know, you want to get that over with. And the inflation rate is one of these things that's harder to decide. So you want to give people freemium Pulse. Okay. So does that mean you're setting all the contracts to zero and all the holders to zero and then injecting something? Well, that screws up the ratios on Uniswap. Okay. Well, then how do you handle maintaining the market data that's useful inside the Uniswap pairs, the ratios of native token, which would be Pulse, versus the ERC20s? Because the ERC20 pairs, they're not, you know, probably not going to be affected at all. They're going to come over wholesale, right? So, you know, if you're a guy that likes Link or a guy that likes, you know, let's say you trade like Link versus DAI. Well, those pairs are probably going to be unaffected. They're going to come over 1-to-1 probably. And then you're going to have new value discovery for the thousands of tokens on Ethereum. It's also going to show which projects were fake decentralized. Because if your project was truly decentralized and everything's open source, like Uniswap, at least Uni V1 and V2. V3 is a little bit less open source. It's like closed source for 2 years. You can't copy it, but then after 2 years you can. It's a commercial license. So, those real open source projects, you're going to see front ends pop up for really quickly because people want to trade this new thing they just got for free and is free to transact on. But the stuff that's like fake decentralized and is actually admin keys and oracles and crap like that, those things will only work if those permissioned special people let them work. So if the permissioned special people let, like most dApps don't even have multiple front ends. Like Hex has, 3 or 4 or 5 different ways you can use it. So if anyone goes down, it doesn't really matter. But in most dApps, if the front end goes down, you're just dead. You can't do anything unless you're a developer, and then you can hack together your own implementation because it's a cross-chain world. You can go into MetaMask and change one setting, and you'll be able to start working on Pulse. No new wallet, no new private keys. It just works. So Etherscan supports multiple chains, or the team that built Etherscan supports multiple chains. MetaMask supports multiple chains. 1inch.io is on multiple chains. AAVE is on multiple chains. It's now a multi-chain world, but people just don't realize it yet. So, we're going to be probably the largest airdrop in history. Well, definitely the largest airdrop in history. There will be no airdrop that has ever existed before where as many people got as many free coins. Like, basically, in Ethereum, you give mining companies a lot of money, you give electricity companies a lot of money, and then depending on how much hash rate you have, you get that % of the total block reward and the fees. It's not that great because what do they do with all the Ethereum they get in fees? They dump the Ethereum price. They hurt the Ethereum price with it, and they hurt the environment with it, which is the reason Ethereum wants to get out of it. They're trying to get to proof of stake as quickly as they can. And we can get to proof of stake before them because there's already proof of stake code that works, that we know works. And so we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're implementing it in a superior way that's single chain instead of multi-chain. So if you can remove the pollution, if you can give everyone the most free tokens they've ever received, if you've got bridges to other networks so that you can trade ePulse on Ethereum network, which then turns into real Pulse on the real Pulse network, be a bridge contract. The way bridge contracts works is it's like, okay, you have 2 networks. Okay, you put some Ethereum in the Ethereum network and you want to move it to Pulse. Fine. This contract locks the Ethereum on the Ethereum network and then issues the exact same amount of tokens on the Pulse network. And then you can trade them, send them, do what you want. And then when you want to get out, you just say, hey, I want out. And then you send a transaction on both networks, and this network goes, okay, cool, you're out. And then it takes the Ethereum that it had locked and sends it to wherever you want. And so this idea that you can bridge value across 2 smart chain enabled networks makes it really cool because you can take anything that's of value on ETH and then basically kind of wrap it using the bridge. But it's not like wrapped usually has counterparty risk. You can make bridges without counterparty risk. So most people don't. Most of the bridges do have counterparty risk. Like Matic, their bridge is controlled by whoever has the multi-sig keys. There's $3 billion in the Matic multi-sig bridge contract, and they get to steal the money whenever they want. Maybe it has a 24-hour timer on it, maybe. So if it goes wrong and they decide to start stealing money, you get 24 hours race to get your money out of there because you don't even, when there's a multi-sig, you don't know if the same guy just holds both keys. Same guy could have both keys. Then the multi-sig doesn't matter. It's just extra attack surface. So, right now there's $3 billion sitting in Matic that anyone could steal basically. And I see this in DeFi all the time, and it's so disgusting to me. I got into cryptocurrency to remove middlemen and increase trustlessness and have my own personal power and my own sovereignty. And then everyone in crypto, they just do the opposite. They leave their keys on exchanges. They put their keys into unaudited garbage contracts. They put their keys behind admins and oracles. And then you're just like, yeah, well, the admin and oracle could lie and steal all your shit. And they do often. I mean, I tweet about it like every week. There's another like $30 to $50 million DeFi hack. It's not a hack. It's just stupid users. They give their money to stupid contracts. And you're like, when you're mining Ethereum or mining Bitcoin, which are proof of work networks, you have to waste millions and millions of dollars of electricity with millions and millions of dollars of hardware to do the world's dumbest, stupidest brute force problem, which is purely waste and has no utility at all, except that it makes people think the network's secure. And if people were trying to 51% attack you, it makes that particular type of attack more expensive. So when you remove the miners, now they're not going to pollute the environment. They're not going to dump the price with their block rewards. Pulse is going to have 0% inflation and burn 25% of the fees. So there's no block rewards and there's no paying for mining hardware. So what you have basically is you may have a lot of people using bandwidth, to check the status of things. So for instance, in Ethereum, most of the bandwidth goes through a server farm on AWS that Infura runs. And when Infura goes down, most of Ethereum kind of takes a pause because it's just easier to wait for them to come back up than for everybody to go into MetaMask and choose a different server. Because, MetaMask defaults to using Infura. They're both owned by consensus. So,
And how are you going to choose them, Richard? How are you going to choose the validators?
Well, it's delegated. It's delegated.
By who?
So it's really neat. Like, we didn't even have to figure this stuff out. This stuff was already pre-done by other projects. I'm like, yes, we know it works, great. So in this particular instance, it's called, they use different words for it. I'll just call it delegated proof of stake, but other projects use terms like proof of authority, and everyone has their own different word for basically the same stuff. If you have Pulse, can lock your Pulse, stake it, no time involved, there's no time component here, and then you can delegate your stake to the validator of your choice. And the validator can set a parameter that rewards you a % of fees. So by choosing efficient validators, you can get the highest percentage of your fees back, and then whichever validators attract the most stake or just generated the stake on their own through sacrificing or acquiring on the open market or whatever they're doing, those people that choose to be validators that have the top, 33, 50, some 2-digit number amount of stake have the ability to be a validator if they choose to. And if they don't want to, they can delegate their stake to somebody else. And basically the validator set will be whomever wants to validate that has more stake delegated to them than the X number of people below them. And so off the top of my head, 33 is an okay number. I mean, these are parameters you could fool around with later. Ethereum has a bunch of compelling things coming up, right? Like it has the IP 1559 fee burning coming up. It's got maybe ETH 2.0 coming up. And those two things are basically only valuable for the reason that I'm doing them earlier than they are. So they want to get rid of miners dumping the price. Okay, Pulse does that. They want to get fee burning. Okay, Pulse does that. But even with the IP 1559, they're still having inflation. We're not even going to have inflation. And even with the IP 1559, you can't get paid as a holder to stake it and get a percentage of fees. It's not an option for you. It will be an option for you in ETH 2.0. It's not an option for you in ETH 1.0. In any of the suggested EIPs, it's not an option. You're not going to have any staking features or rewards for holding or any of those things in ETH 1.0. So we're beating Ethereum to market with their own ideas, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. And no one can say that's a bad idea because you're like, oh, it's a bad idea. You think it's a bad idea? Well, it's coming for you. It's on the roadmap. There it is right there. You can go try the code and testnet, So I know that these ideas are good. And I know the vast majority of these ideas are being executed in other places. And I'm just bringing the best of all those worlds and adding the Ethereum state to benefit all the people that are currently being screwed over by the fees. I mean, the Ethereum fees are absolutely disgusting.